Just when you think it's about to be a slow news day, Rachel Zegler opens her mouth. Mwah. Hello, I'm Marvin, and I'm the Movie Monster. Disney's live-action Snow White is in a lot of trouble, folks, with an estimated $500 million budget after 3 expensive and expansive reshoots, and a trailer that holds the distinction of being the most disliked video in Disney history. It's clear that this film has the makings of the most spectacular bomb of all time. That means Disney's in panic mode right now, and it's looking for anything it can do to get some positive buzz around this film. Often in these situations, studios try just about everything, throwing whatever you got at the wall to see if it sticks. But Disney made a fatal error in its attempt to right the ship. It let Rachel Zegler talk.
Fools! Idiots! Imbeciles!
Yes, the exact thing that got them into this mess in the first place is now their winning strategy to get this film back on track. They're taking the single most unlikable, out-of-touch, know-nothing, narcissistic 23-year-old alive and putting her in front of the media to talk about the fans?
Imbeciles!
Oh, man. Some days my job is just really easy.
Alson, help me up onto his casket so I can dance on it!
Yes, Rachel Zegler launched into an unhinged hissy fit that the mainstream media is lapping up like regurgitated worm chunks pouring from the mouth of a mother bird into the developing beak of its squealing offspring. But the actual fans, the paying customers, the people attached to the butts you so desperately need to put in those theater seats are reacting as though that same bird just took a big Snow White dump on their heads. Now, for the uninitiated, I suppose I'll give you some background information.
I don't care.
Though you might want to turn back now if you're not familiar with Rachel Zegler's body of work. You might actually be better off as a person to have never actually been exposed to who she is. And I truly believe there are many of you out there who have never heard of her, because Rachel Zegler is like the team at the beginning of the Disney film Angels in the Outfield before the divine intervention happens. She can't get a hit to save her life. From West Side Story to Shazam! Fury of the Gods to that Hunger Games prequel, Rachel Zegler is a masterclass in Hollywood failure. She's produced more bombs than Stark Enterprises, and she's not done yet by a long shot.
Money!
She first came under fire last year when she openly bashed the original Snow White film, calling the prince a stalker, which is also low-key calling Walt Disney, the man behind the film, a problematic figure. She also girl-bossed her way around several interviews, balking at the idea of a woman who dreams of falling in love. Instead, her Snow White is dreaming of being the leader that she always knew she could be. Not to mention using a tone-deaf social media post gushing about her movie trailer, which was ratioed at a more than 10-to-1 level, to make comments about political events in the Middle East, despite her co-star in this film being a military veteran from the country she was railing against. And that's not even to discuss her utterly out of touch with reality comments during the SAG-AFTRA strike, where she compared wearing a Disney princess dress to some kind of hard, torturous labor that deserves epic compensation. But that was all just an overture, folks. It was all leading up to this moment when she gets to achieve her perfect form. What follows is a petulant, spoiled brat placing herself on a pedestal and trying to say that she's seeking personal fame and fortune for the benefit of all womankind. Buckle up, because she is truly the next level of girl boss. If we've all been collectively battling the girl boss for years now in the video game of pop culture, we just hit the pot where the music restarts and now it has lyrics. Get ready for some weird statements today on Tooney Town TV. You know, sometimes you just see a headline and you're like, oh boy, oh, this is gonna be good content. That's how I felt when I saw this one. How Snow White star Rachel Zegler really feels about toxic Disney fans. Wow. We've graduated to toxic Disney fans, folks. First it was toxic Star Wars fans, then it was toxic Marvel fans. Now we're on full-blown just toxic Disney fans. For the record, I do believe that toxic Disney fans exist. But not in the way that they're probably saying it in this article, which, by the way, this is the most virtue signaling article known to man. I mean, it's terrible. So I cannot wait to dive into it. This hack writer just virtue signals nonstop, like with the insistence that this ad keeps popping up over in the corner here. Yeah, I believe toxic Disney fans are the toxically positive ones, the ones that attack you if you say anything bad about Disney or the parks, the movies, or whatever. The ones who, when Disney put out metal detectors in front of the Magic Kingdom, because it was always been a soft target for for shootings or for terrorist attacks, and these are the people that cried and screamed and complained that you were ruining their magic. Well, guess what, guys? The terrorists don't care about your magic. So, and frankly, neither do I. Yeah, I'd rather go in and be safe than preserve the experience and be in danger. But I digress. That's not what this video is about. This is about what Snow White star Rachel Zegler really feels about toxic Disney fans. Guys, spoiler alert: she's not a fan. Oh, this is written by Nina Stana, which, if we looked at her bio on Twitter, I guarantee you there's pronouns in it. She says, ever since she made her feature film debut in Steven Spielberg's masterful remake of West Side Story, oh, the one that made no money? The one that made no money, one of the biggest box office bombs ever. Yeah, that one, the one that should have been the end of Rachel Zegler's career right then and there. Rachel Zegler has been a lightning rod for controversy, although to be incredibly frank, it's usually because people are being weird and racist to her on the internet. Look, no one's being weird to Rachel Zegler. An orange puppet is just screaming about how much she sucks. But like with the racist thing, who cares about what race she is? The problem is that she's an absolutely terrible human being who rails against classic projects and wags a finger at the fans. A 23-year-old trying to lecture the entire world. That's the problem everyone has with Rachel Zegler. That has definitely been the case when it comes to Zegler's other upcoming remake, Snow White, where she plays the titular Disney princess. And in a recent profile, she told Variety that her film creates an alternate history regarding the princess's name, because obviously it can't be that his skin is white as snow, because Rachel Zegler is in fact not white, and said that she tries to just ignore the Buddhist Disney fans, specifically ones angry that a Latina actress is playing Snow White. No one is angry that a Latina actress is playing Snow White. Is it a little ridiculous because of what her name is supposed to stand for? Yes, absolutely. But I mean, is it ridiculous pandering? I mean, yeah, it's pandering of the highest order, as we should come to expect from the Walt Disney Company under the leadership of Bob Iger. But look, that is the least of anyone's concern with this movie. It's that she is just the worst. She goes, it fell back to another version of Snow White that was told in history, where she survived a snowstorm that occurred when she was a baby, she told the outlet. Now, this is not new. This is the explanation they gave in the ABC show Once Upon a Time, which was funny because that version of Snow White was played by Ginnifer Goodwin, who is like the whitest woman on the planet. So they could have done that, but yeah, they changed it to the snowstorm thing then. So that's probably the other version of Snow White that she's talking about. And they probably Once Upon a Time might have used that from other things as well. And so the king and queen decided to name her Snow White to remind her of her resilience. Oh my God, her resilience. Her resilience with the fact that she was able to like be held as an infant and not die while it was cold outside. One of the core points in our film for any young woman or young person is remembering how strong you actually are. This movie's going to be so terrible. It's going to be the worst. This is going to be the worst film that's ever happened. And the box office numbers are going to reflect it, folks.
Money.
I honestly can't believe they're letting her talk, because her talking is what got this movie into the mess that it's in, with 1.2 million dislikes on its trailer. As Zegler says, rather pointedly in the profile, the negative reaction to her being cast as Snow White comes down to basic misogyny and hatred. There it is. Oh, man. This article just achieved bingo. It has racist, misogyny, hatred. Actually, if they can get homophobic, then it gets like special bingo. I have watched women get torn down my whole life, my whole career. And that's like 23 whole years in my life. And my career has been like 5 whole years. shows. And my goodness, I'm seeing all these women get torn down. We're going to witness that for a long time, I fear. No, you guys are going to say that we're witnessing it for a long time because that's how you maintain your power in Hollywood. Sometimes it can feel like we're going back. It certainly felt that way when that was happening. Still, she simply stays online when people are awful to her to maintain her power. To maintain the power, the unlimited power. I don't like to give them the satisfaction of knowing they hurt me in the moment. You give them a lot of power by taking a social media break, so they just get more Rachel. Rachel Zegler wants her Snow White movie to be more empowering than the original. Yes, because the original was a terribly unempowering movie, according to her. Here she goes. More empowering than the original. She's still attacking the original film. Besides the absurd racism surrounding Rachel Zegler as Snow White, the actress also made waves by criticizing the original Disney animated film, saying that director Mark Webb's take on the story will be a bit more enlightened as far as its female lead is concerned. Speaking to Extra TV during the 2022 D23 Expo, Rachel said the original movie features the prince basically stalking Snow White and calling the whole thing weird, while also noting that the entire focus is on Snow White's love story rather than her own personal development. This is a perfectly fair point to make, and yet Zegler faced significant pushback. So what did she say about it now to Variety? This writer, you guys can't see I'm making air quotes as I say writer, is what a hack. What a hack. So she goes, in all honesty, it made me sad that it was taken in such a way. Okay. So it made you sad that you said a thing attacking a beloved movie, and then you got held accountable for the things that you said. That made you sad. Yeah, I can see why that would make you sad. Because I believe that women can do anything, but I also believe they can do everything. What kind of after-school special ridiculous garbage is that? Of course women can do anything. No one's stopping them from doing anything. You are not a hero. You are not a role model. You are an adult woman standing up pretending to be somebody that you are not. You are an actor. That is it. You are not a figure in some kind of crazy civil rights movement. Stop it. Specifically, Zegler said that she simply wants girls and women to see the film and feel like they can proverbially have it all. You can have it all. No one is stopping you as a woman from having it all. Stop acting like we're in 1920 and people expect you to be in the kitchen with an apron on. No one expects that. We're in 2024. And also clarified that the love story between Snow White and her prince is in the film, but just isn't the entire focus. Yes, I'm sure it's a stellar love story. Look, the original wasn't a stellar love story either. They see each other and they fall in love. That was kind of the Disney motto of the day. And this, I'm sure it's going to be like, he sees her sitting by the well and is like, hey, and she's going to be like, you're taking my agency. And he's going to be like, you're right, I'm terrible. And she's going to be like, that's okay. I'll allow you to love me now. She goes, I would never want to box someone in and say, if you want love, then you can't work. Or if you want to work, then you can't have a family. It's not true. It's never been true. It can be very upsetting when things get taken out of context or jokes don't land. Stop telling jokes. If this is you telling jokes, stop telling jokes. Not everyone is funny. Not everyone is meant to be funny. Not everyone is meant to tell jokes. You are one of them. You are not funny. You barely have a personality, and you have to have a personality to be funny. The love story is very integral. A lot of people wrote that we weren't doing that storyline anymore. We were always doing that. It just wasn't what we were talking about on that day. All right, I need to take a minute here and move over to that Park Place article. But John F. Trent does an amazing job of kind of summing up what happened in this whole thing. All right, so Zegler insulted and derided anyone who had an affinity for the original film, telling Extra TV, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
Weird.
After being asked about the prince, she said, well, we have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story. Just because, we cast a guy in the movie, Andrew Burnap, great dude. God, she's so cringy. She continued, it's one of those things that I think everyone's going to have in their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all. Not about the love story at all. Not about the love story at all. The love story is very integral. A lot of people wrote that we weren't doing that anymore. We were always doing that. We were always doing that. We were always doing that. But it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. She is so not funny. And she thinks she's hysterical. I mean, like this woman, oh my goodness. It's an inner journey that she goes on to find her true self, and she meets a lot of people along the way that make that journey really incredible. She made similar comments to Variety. I mean, it's just no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White, and then Gal Gadot tries to come in and save her here because she's floundering and she knows where it's going. I don't think Gal Gadot is going to be inclined to attempt to save Rachel Zegler ever again. But she goes, she's not going to be saved by the prince. And then Zegler concurred, she's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about being the leader she knows she can be. The leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, brave, and true. By the way, fearless and brave are the same thing, you dolt. All right, back to this terrible article. As Rachel Zegler puts it, there's more than one way to play a Disney princess. Yes, you can make CGI monstrosities clean around for you. By the way, the cleaning thing right here about like her making the dwarves clean their own house, which, you know, whatever, they're adult men, but they're not present for that whistle while you work scene in the movie because she finds the house and she sees the little beds and she thinks it's a bunch of orphan children, and so she cleans up for them because she's kind, which is a character trait that I'm assuming this version of Snow White is not going to share.
Weird.
Okay, the article goes, it feels incredible that despite the completely outrageous hatred that she's received from random online trolls, Rachel Zegler maintains such a positive attitude about her career and her upcoming projects, including the moment where she tells Variety that she has a personal connection to Snow White. She was my mom's favorite princess. When she was growing up, there weren't a lot of dark-haired princesses, and that was the one thing she could relate to.
Son of a bitch!
Stop it. This incredibly shallow and ridiculous argument that you can only relate to people who look exactly like you. Shut up. Shut your putrid mouth. This is such an offensive thing to say. That basically means that you are saying everything is just skin deep. All right? It is you are the shallowest human being on the planet. You can't relate to qualities of people. You can't relate to things like being fearless and brave, even though they mean the same thing. You can't relate to things like being kind or compassionate. You can only relate to what a person looks like. That makes you a shallow human being. She also makes an excellent point where she says that she watched Brandy's 1997 version of Cinderella, the one featuring Whitney Houston as a fairy godmother, constantly as a kid, and that the Disney princesses can be played by anybody across many adaptations as possible, and it's still the same character. Yes, it is still the same character, so you should always be able to identify with the character, no matter what color they are. I grew up in a house where that was Cinderella, she said in reference to Brandy. Brandy also provided a touching statement for the piece where she celebrated Zegler's identity as a woman of Colombian descent playing the role of Snow White, saying she'll undoubtedly inspire little girls around the world. Ebony Shield, activate! Obviously, we watched the cartoon, but a child's mind is the most amazing thing. Yes, you should know, because you still have a child's mind. Where it's just like, okay, that's Cinderella, but the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, blue-dressed Cinderella from the 1950s cartoon is also Cinderella. Also, Hilary Duff is Cinderella in a Cinderella story. I was able to comprehend those things at a young age. Yeah, you are so smart. You are so smart to realize that multiple people can play the same character across multiple different movies. You were just a Mensa candidate, weren't you, Rachel? Good Lord, everything she says is dumber than the thing she just said. Why are they letting her talk?
Fools! All of you!
In just a few short years, Rachel Zegler has built an incredible career.
This is a lie.
And courted Controversy. Okay. Built an incredible career. She can't get a hit to save a life. She's never been in a successful project. The only thing she's ever been in that made money was that ridiculous Hunger Games prequel, and that made nowhere near the money that the actual Hunger Games movies made. After Rachel Zegler sent in an audition tape for West Side Story and won over one of the world's greatest living directors, that would be Steven Spielberg. How about we say his name, or are we not allowed to say the name of any white man in this entire article? She skyrocketed to fame. No, nobody knows who she is other than the people that get mad at the things that she said, because nobody saw that movie. Nobody saw that West Side Story. Stop it. She kept booking big projects.
I have never heard so many lies in my entire life other than when I was saying them.
In 2023, okay, I would like to say they cited West Side Story, one of the biggest bombs ever. And then this person's next big example as to a huge Hollywood movie that she was in. In 2023, she played Anthea in Shazam! Fury of the Gods. What? This was like the movie that everybody was like, wow, DC's dead. And that's your stunning example, which she bluntly said she did for the money. And that same year, she starred as tribute Lucy Gray Baird in the Hunger Games prequel, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, where she sang her own songs live opposite Tom Blythe as a young Cornelius Snow. Zegler also extensively discusses her starring role in a new Broadway production of Romeo and Juliet, which she leads as Juliet. Keep her on Broadway, please, because that's where she belongs. She actually can sing very well, and it would be great if she just stayed there and didn't do movies, which presents a much younger and fresher take on the Bard's classic love story. Okay, if there's one thing that needs, if there's one thing that clearly needs updating, it's Shakespeare, right? Because it's so poorly written. The arrogance of these people. By the way, I don't think they also say the word Shakespeare here either, because, white man can't say that. Hold on, let's check. Yep, I just did a search for it. No, none of the word Shakespeare does not appear in this article. My God. Despite her powerhouse voice, serious acting I'm sorry, this is hysterical. And frankly, delightful presence on the red carpet. She's a toxic waste dump. She's nuclear waste wearing a skin suit. Stop it. For some reason, people are horrible to Rachel Zegler. The Variety piece also includes an alarming anecdote about a time that somebody on X, formerly known as Twitter, thanks, I would never have known what X was if you hadn't explained it. Someone told Zegler that she should... that someone should unalive her, which she cheekily responded, "Fun fact, I will be dying 8 times a week on Broadway this fall." Look, nobody should ever be threatening somebody's life. I don't care who you are. I don't care who it is. Nobody deserves that kind of treatment. And I will actually stick up for Rachel Zegler there. Don't threaten to kill people. Like, I get death threats constantly. I always get the "we're going to find you and kill you and your family," threats from the worst part of like the wrestling fandom. And it's only going to get worse as the channel gets bigger. So I understand that, and it's not good, and I wholeheartedly condemn that. Don't do that. Guys, look, at the end of the day, also, if you do get so worked up that you make some kind of empty threat like that, first of all, you're a jackass. Secondly, you're just giving them the shield to hold up to be able to deflect any and all criticism, because now any fan that criticizes Rachel Zegler is that guy on X. We're all that guy. In this article, every single one of us is that guy on X who made that stupid comment. Being famous isn't for the faint of heart, so that's why I just don't have a heart, she said of the incident. She's still out here posting through it, and the world is getting her take on Snow White in March 2025, whether a few bigots are mad about it or not. A few bigots. 1.2 million people disliked this thing. No one cares about her race. No one cares about that. It's the fact that she is a terrible, terrible human being who insulted a classically beloved movie. Shut up. Who's this? I gotta see who this writer's name again. Nina Starner. And nobody harassed Nina Starner because she does not deserve to be acknowledged in any way, shape, or form, positive or negative. This is just a absolutely empty, bubble-headed piece. So yeah, there you guys go. What do you guys make of Rachel Zegler's recent comments? Sound off in our comments section below and let me know. Rachel Zegler is a narcissist, and I'm not saying that out of nowhere. She called herself that on a talk show, so I'm not saying anything she's not legitimately admitted. To that end, she's often talking about herself, but who knew she was actually referring to herself when she said this?
Weird.
Oofa! This lady is the absolute worst. She's clearly in damage control mode, trying to chalk up her comments about Snow White and the prince as some kind of joke. Please, Rachel, on behalf of the world, I'm sorry to be the one to inform you that you're not funny. And when horrifically and uncomfortably unfunny people attempt to make jokes, you get you. You also get Agatha all along, but that's besides the point. But I also don't buy that she was joking around. I think she's a child of privilege, posturing about thinking that she knows better than the rest of society, and that she's speaking to all of us plebs from some place of heightened knowledge and wisdom. You gotta be utterly shallow to believe that the only way you can identify with a character is if they look like you. That shows me that you think only of what's outside. You're not seeing the intangible characteristics that should be universal in characters like Cinderella and Snow White. Things like kindness, compassion, bravery, selflessness, these are qualities that go beyond the color of your skin and hair plus ultra. When you make that argument, Miss Zegler, you're only focused on what you see in the mirror. And that doesn't make you Snow White. It makes you the evil queen. Thanks for joining us today, and a huge thanks to our Tooneytown TV channel members. You guys help keep the lights on here, and for that, you get early access to videos, along with exclusive content like our members-only live stream Friday afternoons at 2 p.m. So if you're not a member of the Tooneytown TV channel yet, I hope you'll join us soon. And I hope you'll all join us for our public weekly live stream, Tooney Talk TV, every Thursday night at 8 p.m. EST. This is a live pop culture podcast where you can make your voice heard as a part of the Tooneytown community. If you liked what you saw here today, please like, share, and subscribe. Click that bell icon to get notified of new videos as they drop. From all of us here at the Tooneytown channels, I'm Marvin the Movie Monster. Now get out of here!